Three master criminals, three completely different approaches to conquering the Wild West. Soapy Smith built political empires through strategic corruption. Canada Bill Jones perfected the psychological art of three-card Monte until he could fleece anyone, anywhere. The orchestrators of the Great Diamond Hoax pulled off one of the most audacious mining frauds of the 1870s, fooling even experienced geologists and wealthy investors in 1872. Each man exploited the same lawless frontier, but their methods reveal three distinct archetypes: the political machine builder, the street-level performer, and the institutional manipulator. Their stories show how deception shaped the American West in ways you never imagined. Before we dive into the world of con games, please hit the like button and subscribe to never miss another tale from the Wild West. Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith understood that real power came from controlling systems, not just running cons. In 1894, Gatling guns and artillery faced down Denver's City Hall. At the center of this armed standoff stood a con man who had somehow become more powerful than the city's own government. Soapy Smith commanded roughly 200 special police and deputies. The governor sent militia units to confront this force assembled around City Hall. Smith earned his nickname from his prized soap racket. He wrapped cheap soap bars in paper money, then used shills to ensure only his gang members won the cash prizes. People thought they were buying soap wrapped in $5 bills. They walked away with worthless bars and empty pockets. This street hustle generated the cash flow for something far more dangerous. Smith transformed from small-time grifter to political powerhouse through calculated expansion. He ran fake stock exchanges selling worthless mining shares. Bogus lottery shops and rigged watch auctions fleeced eager investors. Each operation was a front for larger schemes. Smith mastered public relations while running his criminal network. He organized charity drives for widows and orphans. He funded soup kitchens during harsh winters. He opened his saloons to ministers for Sunday services. Citizens saw him as a generous man. Behind this front, he corrupted every level of Denver's government. The 1894 Denver City Hall War erupted when reform politicians tried to challenge his control. Smith's men carried Winchester rifles and wore official badges. They barricaded themselves inside the city building. The standoff lasted days before negotiations ended the crisis. When Denver reforms finally pressured him out, Smith followed opportunity to new frontiers. During the Klondike Rush, he moved to Skagway, Alaska, where his control reached its peak. Each new territory offered fresh marks and corrupt officials to purchase. Smith proved that in the lawless West, a clever con man could literally buy political power. He turned crime into governance itself. Yet his empire-building approach was just one path to frontier fortune. Some criminals chose a completely different strategy. William Canada Bill Jones had an instinctive ability to pick likely victims and to play the role of a bumbling, harmless player, an act that made his victims drop their guard. Born to English parents in Yorkshire, he later worked the Canadian circuits before moving into U.S. riverboat and railroad gambling. He could read their greed, their confidence, their desperation, and he could use all of it to destroy them with nothing but three cards. While Smith built empires, Canada Bill perfected the deadliest street con in the West. Three-card Monte looked simple, but was actually pure psychological manipulation. Bill threw three cards face down on a wooden crate. Players bet on finding the red queen among two black cards. The secret wasn't in the cards themselves. Bill understood exactly what made people believe they could win when they couldn't. He studied human nature like a scientist. Every gesture revealed weakness he could exploit. Bill used cappers to create the illusion of easy money. These fake players would win spectacular amounts right before real victims arrived. A capper might pocket $50 in seconds. Genuine marks watched greedily as money changed hands. They never realized the winner worked for Bill. Bill identified personality types that fell for specific approaches. Arrogant men needed their intelligence challenged. Desperate gamblers craved quick solutions to debt problems. Wealthy tourists wanted excitement they couldn't find back home. Bill adjusted his performance for each target, often wearing oversized clothing to appear foolish and non-threatening. His most audacious cons happened on moving trains. Bill convinced railroad conductors to let him run games in passenger cars. He even offered the Union Pacific Railroad $10,000 per year for exclusive Monte rights. The railroad rejected his proposal, but the offer showed his confidence and ambition. Bill operated on riverboats, trains, and in cities like New Orleans and Chicago. His operation required perfect timing and coordination. He bent cards at specific angles so he could identify them from the back. His fingers moved with practiced precision. The Red Queen disappeared and reappeared exactly where he wanted it. Bill proved that the most devastating cons weren't about complex schemes. They were about understanding human weakness better than people understood themselves. But some criminals aimed far higher than individual marks or even political machines. In 1872, Philip Arnold and John Slack walked into the Bank of California in San Francisco carrying a leather bag filled with rough diamonds. They deposited the gems in William Chapman Ralston's vault, claiming they had discovered America's first major diamond field. Within months, they had convinced the nation's wealthiest investors to fund one of the biggest mining frauds in history. Arnold and Slack didn't just run a con. They created an entire fake industry, complete with legal documents, corporate structures, and scientific endorsements. Their operation made Smith's political corruption look primitive by comparison. Their target wasn't individual marks on street corners. They aimed at the entire American financial system's hunger for the next big mineral discovery. Post-Civil War America craved investment opportunities that promised instant wealth. The partners had purchased cheap, cast-off diamonds for about $35,000 in London and Amsterdam gem markets. They traveled to a remote mesa in northwestern Colorado, near what is now called Diamond Peak. There, they scattered thousands of stones across barren ground in careful patterns designed to mimic natural geological deposits. The salting process took weeks of precise placement. They controlled all access to ensure investors could only inspect what the cons wanted them to see. Their sophisticated manipulation impressed even experienced financiers. Tiffany's valued their sample at roughly $150,000. Arnold and Slack sold their interest to investors for about $660,000, who then formed the San Francisco and New York Mining and Commercial Company with $10 million in capital stock. Prominent figures endorsed their claims without question. Government geologist Clarence King finally exposed the fraud through investigation. King sent geologists to scrutinize the site. They recognized that the mix of gems came from different geological formations, making a natural deposit impossible. The diamonds showed tool marks from cutting. Their distribution patterns defied natural processes. Arnold and Slack had collected over $500,000 before the exposure. The Great Diamond Hoax proved that institutional authority meant nothing when greed overwhelmed judgment. These three criminal approaches revealed something fundamental about how the frontier actually operated. Soapy Smith built his empire through bribery, force, and legitimate fronts. Canada Bill mastered theatrical performance, sleight of hand, and psychological manipulation. The diamond hoaxers exploited legal paperwork, corporate structures, and market fever. These men succeeded because the Wild West wasn't just lawless. Traditional rules hadn't caught up to new opportunities. Rapid expansion, spotty oversight, and appetite for quick riches created the conditions these criminals exploited. Which archetype surprised you most? Comment below and let me know if you want a deeper dive into any of these stories. Like and subscribe for more densely researched Wild West narratives.